Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Well, today I've got my work gear on and I'm going to be finally starting my telescope pier build. Now first of all, I'm no builder, some of the things I'm going to do are probably a little cringy for some, I'll just do the best I can with what I got. This can be, as far as I can tell, can be quite the controversial subject, and I have no doubt what I'm going to be doing today and is not going to agree with some, and no, that's fair enough. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. By all means, leave a comment, let me know what you think of it all. So without further ado, I'm just going to crack on. I'll show you what I'm actually planning to do before I crack on and start mixing all that concrete. This is what I am doing, and I'll explain a bit more in depth, different scenarios and my take on it anyway. So I am building, it's a 40 centimetre by 40 centimetre square. From this height it goes down just over a metre. From floor height I've dug down about 60, just over 60 centimetres. It's got lots of rebar or reinforced steel, if you like, to sort of strengthen it, if you like, all throughout. It's going to be in the steel tube as well. I've also got metre long threaded rods that are going to be sunk down at the very end, which is also going to strengthen it, and also the tubing, which is aircon duct. That is galvanised steel, which is going to be sort of protecting the concrete, if you like. It's all going to get encased with concrete, so it is going to be quite sturdy. Now here comes the controversial bit, because no doubt some are going to feel very strongly, not all but some, about what I've done here. If you are thinking of building a pier or observatory or whatever, no doubt you've been doing the research. It's probably one of the reasons why you're looking at this video right now. So you're going to hear things like frost lines, vibration, stability, and these are valid reasons, don't get me wrong, and things to sort of consider when building a pier. Now, my take on this is, first of all, frost lines, this is non-applicable to me. I think I'm going to be building an observatory. It's going to be insulated. There's no frost going to be getting to this. If you're building this pier out in the elements, you're not going to have an observatory. I would build bigger, deeper, more substantial. I'm not I'm not disputing that whatsoever, but my scenario, I don't see much reason in actually doing that. So as for the actual stability of it, well, I've gone into this totally blind. I've spoke with people who've got less substantial piers than what I'm actually building, and they've got things like an EQ8 and a massive scope sat on top of it, and perfectly fine. It's definitely not going to fall over. It's got rebar in here. It's got reinforced, galvanized tubing on it, and full of concrete. It's going to be fine. It's not a skyscraper. It's not going to be that high. As for the vibration side of things, well, this is a personal observatory build. When I'm doing an image session, I'm not going to be cutting the mustard in my observatory. I love astrophotography, I really do, but I don't get that excited. I feel the need to start breakdancing while doing an image session. Now again, other scenarios on this is, if you're building a public observatory build, where people are going to be walking around it and stuff, I get it. Build a hefty pier, you're going to have to, and you're probably going to guard it off as well. But for me, again, I don't see the vibration thing an issue. So yeah, that's where I'm at on all that. All right, well, I think I've said what I want to say, to be honest. I don't mean to sound arrogant if I've come across like that. It's not the case. I just want to sort of air my opinion on it all. A lot of people feel very strongly about this subject, and that's fair enough. If you feel so strongly that you want to leave a comment and say that I've made a catastrophic error, that is fine. I'll take that on the chin. I'm sure it'll be fine. But of course, by the time this video comes out, it'll be too late, won't it? And if it doesn't work, I'm gonna have to do something drastic to fix it, aren't I? But I'm sure it'll be okay. So I'm going to start mixing this concrete, because it's not going to build itself, is it? So yeah, let's get cracking. So the concrete's roughly about 800 inches, so I reckon another mixing will be sorted, ready for the next bit. So I filled the concrete up to the level of where this tube comes out on the side for the cables, and then I inserted the aircon tube here. I had to give it a good wiggle because it was quite firm, but got it in, made sure it was all level. Of course, that is an important bit, and every time I've topped up with the concrete since, I've double checked the levels because you can shift, you know, when you put it in. Of course, I've put the tube in there, just making sure it's as centre as possible. Yeah, we're getting there. One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, and I was going to do an open question: do you actually need a pier if you're building an observatory? The answer to that is no, you don't. You don't need a pier. It's just personal preference. I've decided I'm going to be for quite a while, so I wanted something permanent. You know, there's many people out there who have observatories and they're quite happy with a tripod and it works just fine. Good guide, and you know, obviously there's benefits to having a PA. You know, if I give that a kick, I'm not going to have to re-pull the line. You would have to with a tripod, of course. But yeah, you know, like I said, it's just personal preference. Down to you whether you can actually be bothered to build one, because it is some graft. I can vouch for that now. Okay, last bit. What I've got here, I've got the top of the mount. I pre-constructed it. You can see I've got a 1 metre length M20 rods, so I'm going to sink them in. I've bent them on at the end, but again they're going to act as more reinforcement for the actual pier itself. So I'll talk a little bit more in a minute anyway. Alright, that was a little awkward, but yeah, I managed. The rods didn't seem to want to go in much. I think they were getting stuck. If I was to do that different, maybe not bend them over, but yeah, anyway, we got it in. It's all level. I've just put some weights on top from my EQ6R, just to hold it down, just in case it does decide it wants to pop up. But yeah, it's like I said, it's all level. It's ready to go. I'm going to show you a little bit closer up and talk about it. The brake disc that's on top of the tube, I decided to use that as a finishing touch, rather like a plate. Reason being is it's got a massive hole in the middle for the access for the cables. I've still got to fine tune this. The tube is popping out slightly, so once it's all set in that, I'll probably trim that, I'll take all this off, trim it off. I did have to drill some holes in. If I was to do anything different, yeah, maybe try and find a disc that had these pre-drilled holes. Yeah, I wouldn't have to drill any, but I don't know if there's any about. But it's no drama. So obviously the M20 rods that I've already mentioned are sunk in. So when that sets, these nuts, they'll just lock this onto the top. Above that, I've got M20 to M8 reducers. Obviously being M8 reducers, I've got the M8 bolts that come with the adapter that will lock this on. This is from Altair. The adapter fits a number of mounts actually. I can't remember off the top of my head that's how what they are, but you know, the one I was concerned was the EQ6R. I'm going to talk a little bit about the orientation. See, I needed to have this pointing north. I've got a number of lines. I've got one at the front as well that I had everything to line up, including on the brake disc. I don't know if you can actually see it here. There. And I've also got a mark on the fence. And I'll just talk about how I actually found true north. So when orientating this, you don't have to be mil perfect, you really don't, but you need to be pretty close, so you know, you don't want to be a mile off. Closer the better, of course. I've heard of people using mobile phones. I would give that a wide berth, to be honest. If it's not calibrated properly, you know, you could end up in trouble. I know in the past when I've used them, they don't work very well. So I would try and stick to more traditional ways of doing things. I personally used the sun. And I also use a website called timeanddate.com, and I'll leave a link in the description for that website. And basically all it was, I picked the location off the map from where I live, and that basically gave me a lot of time and dates for the foreseeable future. I think it was maybe a week or so in advance of when the sun was going to be solar noon at its highest point, basically, and that is true south. So I basically used the stick method, same principle as a sundial, that cast a shadow, and that shadow dictated true north. I just marked it out appropriately, and also double checked that last night, funny enough, with Polaris, just to make sure that it was sort of there, you know, and I wasn't way off. Well, I can't do anything else today, that is it, apart from tidy up. I'm going to leave that set for at least a couple of days, longer the better, I think. And once it has set, I'll take you through the rest of the build. Well, about 5 days has passed now, and today I have been very busy, as you can probably tell by the colour of the pier, and I'll talk about that in a second. First thing I want to talk about is the shuttering I was using. So if I was to do this again, I would definitely use some thicker wood, maybe brace it up a bit better. The way I did it was, sufficient, but it did look like it was close to bursting point, and I think that would have ruined my day if it had burst. I definitely would have been in tears. So I thought I'd point that one out first. The other thing I want to talk about is the pipe here. So this is a bit of waste pipe, like you can use in like kitchen, bathroom, nothing special. And of course this is going through the centre of the pier and out the bottom. I want to talk about the bend. So this is I think a 92.5 degree bend. It's not a 90 degree. This is still quite tight, but I've got some fiberglass rods that go through this no problem. I appreciate not everyone's got like micro rods and stuff like that, so it might be a bit better for you to actually get a more of a sweeping bend. So another way of doing this would be to tie a bit of string or some paracord, in my case, onto a nut and just drop it down the hole, and then all I did was just fish it out at the bottom with a small stick. I've flushed it off at the top because it was poking up out the top, and I've also flushed it off with the concrete at the bottom. I've also smoothed off the sharp edges with a file just to give it a bit of a smoother finish. Of course, I'll give it a lick of paint, blue and red. This is more to protect the bare metal than anything, but of course it makes it look a bit nicer. I'm not joking when I say this thing was nearly going to be bright pink. My 4-year-old daughter, bless her, she said, "Oh Daddy, that looked beautiful in pink," and I did contemplate it, I'm not joking, but the store that I went to didn't actually have pink. Blue and red was readily available, so I went with that. That would have been nice, wouldn't it? The other things I've done, I've coated the concrete at the bottom with liquid damp proof membrane paint. I already had that on hand. I haven't gone out and bought that stuff, but it's going to make it look a bit nicer than bare concrete, and it's also going to protect it as well, to be fair. So yeah, I've done that, and I've also painted the reducers as well, something a little extra. This is all level, I've double checked that, so I'm happy with that. I've backfilled it around the edges of the pier, and I've also got some wood here ready to go for the shuttering, ready to lay the concrete on the for the actual observatory build. Of course, this is going to be totally separate to the actual floor of the observatory to minimise that vibration. So I think I've covered everything. What I'm now going to do, I'm going to show you how I'm going to attach my mount to the top of the pier here. The first thing I'm going to do, we're going to take this metal dowel or azimuth pin, if you are. I'm sure you know what I'm going on about. You take this off the tripod. I'm going to fit this to the top of the pier adapter. To secure this mount onto the pier, I can't use this rod, what I usually use to secure it onto the tripod, so I'm using a bit of cut off M20 rod. I suppose you can use a bolt, but I've basically used that. What I've done is I've just drew a line, I don't know if you can see it there, and that's just to imitate the distance of the threads on the actual bar itself. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to screw this onto the bottom of the mount until it gets to that line. There we go, and I'm just going to hand tighten up that nut and then give it a tighten up. There we go, that's on. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to take this over to the pier and get it on there. So this is exactly the same as if you would put it on your tripod. Just going to loosen off the azimuth bolts, place on there, and just tighten up the azimuth bolts just to hold that in place. And that's not going anywhere for now. And now what I now need to do is fully secure that onto the pier. I've got a couple of bits of metal I had laying around in my shed, quite strong pieces of steel, and these were basically used for securing roof rack boxes onto the car. So yeah, I just drilled some holes through them, slightly bigger than the actual M20 rod here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to place the larger of the two and then basically put the smaller one on. That's basically acting as a washer. I'm going to put another washer in. I'm just going to hold that in place for a second. Now, you can use the, I don't know what you call this actually, the tightening knob. Basically it was to secure the accessory tray onto the tripod, but I found I couldn't get a tight enough grip on it, to be honest. I mean, it was fairly tight, but I wasn't happy, so instead I've opted to go for some nuts. So I'm gonna put a couple of them on. This can be quite fiddly. Okay, so I'll just hand tight that up and then get me adjustable spanner on there. I can get a socket in as well, to be honest, but I'm going to use the spanner and just tighten that up until I'm happy. I'm going to put another nut on now. I'm just using this as a sort of locking nut. I don't think it is going to actually come loose, to be fair, but you know, better safe than sorry and all that. So just again hand tighten and just give it a little nip. And there we go. She's on there, secure. While I'm on, I think I'll show you the actual socket here. So it is quite tight, just enough room to get the socket in, as you can see. But yeah, like I said, there's enough room in there to do whatever I need to do. Well, that is it's starting to look sweet. So I think what I'll do now is see what it looks like with the scope. Well, this is looking fantastic. There she is, my telescope pier, done, dusted, ready to go. I'm over the moon with it, and I cannot wait to start using it and see how it truly performs. I really can't. So I'm going to wrap things up now. Of course, if you're building your own pier, I wish you the very best in your build. Hope this video has helped in any way. If you can take a few bits away, a few ideas, all of it, whatever, you're brilliant. I know I went on earlier, just my personal opinion on things. How I see it is, different scenarios, different circumstances will dictate different ways of doing things. And of course, this is just how I've done my pier build. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Can't wait to read through them and see what you think. So, on that note, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you enjoyed the video, everyone. Please take care, and of course, until next time, clear skies, and bye for now.